So hi everybody. It's a few weeks now until our annual conference, the Construction Leaders Summit, and it's fantastic to be joined today by our keynote coming up from the conference, Chris Hines, MBE, who's going to talk about sustainability. You spoke at our conference last year as well, Chris. I can't believe a year's gone by. Been lots of changes around the world politically. Well, are you enthused about sustainability this time compared to last year?
Um, I mean, with the changes on the other side of the Atlantic and the kind of hacking away of all things that we kind of thought we knew and where we needed to go, there's no question in my mind that the election of Donald Trump couldn't have come at a worse time, worst person in the worst time zone. And there's a great danger that that ripples forward across to even the other side of the Atlantic to us, and generally on a kind of global level. And I think even if you look at, I was doing a little bit of research this morning, and you've got Rachel Reeves saying growth is more important than net zero. And yet, if you actually look scientifically, you would say that's not true. A dead planet, there's no business going on. And the further we go down that line, the more costly it becomes to go back to what we needed to do. And one of the great shames, if I look back 5 years ago, we were bouncing up and down saying we got 10 years to save the planet. 5 years have gone and we almost pointing in the wrong direction. So I'm an optimist by heart and by nature. But even I, at times, am having sleepless nights and having to dig deep into my kind of internal reserves, mentally as well as physically, I think.
Do you think those sort of arguments are happening now in the UK behind closed doors with the sort of Rachel Reeves on the economy side and maybe Ed Miliband on the sustainability side, and there's a bit of sort of tension there, big decisions to be made?
Yeah, I think they're clearly big decisions, and those tensions are going to pull us apart or reunite us. And I think I'll kind of come to that a little bit on what we can do as a sector, the construction sector. But yeah, there's no question those dynamics are in play inside and behind the kind of the front wall of what a government looks like. But, we have seen some kind of worrying things. That statement, we've got the new runway coming at Heathrow. We've got backbenchers being kind of manipulated to kind of step away from the nature and climate bill. So those kind of things aren't great, and they're not good indicators. So we've got to have to kind of dig deep and resolve and kind of play a little game of true grit, I think.
Yeah. And we do quite a lot of surveys at NBS. When we survey our customers, architects, engineers, I think they genuinely want to make a difference. We see that in the survey results. What's your message to architects and engineers in the UK right now?
Hold tight, hold fast, keep doing what you're doing, double down, try and collaborate, try and reach out and find other people around you who are doing the same. Keep informing and communicating. If you kind of look out there are more people who want this. There was a brilliant survey, and it's a project run by The Guardian called the 89% Project. And they surveyed 130,000 people in 100 countries around the world. 89% of all people interviewed said that they thought the climate crisis was number one priority and their governments should do more. 85% they said they'd happily spend more to address that, but everybody thought they were in the minority. So this thing of normalizing and realizing that actually there's lots of us around wanting to do the right thing, and that we're all skilling up and we're creating that momentum, that's what we need to remember. This is going to be a dip. We didn't need this dip at this very moment. We needed to be going the opposite direction, but we're not. So in the same way as if you were a football team or a sporting team, you'd have to, and you thought you were going to go and win the championship and get promoted or whatever, you would kind of have had a setback, but we've got another chance to come again, and we will come again. So we need to kind of dig deep, keep doing what we're doing. That's the kind of thing. Keep skilling up, keep building the teams, and collaborate and reach out.
And as a Newcastle United fan, I know all about dips and in the future, Chris. But our other customer type largely are construction product manufacturers who want to get their products in front of architects and engineers. they want to be specified more. What's your message to them? How can they sort of do the right thing so that they get specified more from a sustainability angle?
I mean, be very clear on the information behind it, what the advantages of specifying a certain product will be or a service. Go with the triple bottom line. So it's not just the financial bottom line. There's also the environmental and the social benefits. Think long term and argue for the long term. That's what we really need to do. And there was a very telling moment before the last election when Rishi Sunak said he was going to slow down the rollout of electric vehicles. And about a week later, the boss of Toyota, who'd invested, I think, a couple of billion up near you, building a new factory. And he said, well, the Prime Minister can say what he wants, but we're going to continue because we operate on long-term horizons. You know, you can't build a factory to make electric cars in the same way as you can't design buildings and the materials and products in those buildings. You can't just do that at the whims of a 4 or 5 year term of parliament. We've got to do this in the long term. So keep innovating, keep making those products. They do become cheaper. You know, there was a great statistic out there, I think it was only last week, they were saying that, you know, solar is now, 50% cheaper than standard fossil fuels, which is, that's that kind of, you know, that's that level, and the cost of photovoltaics coming down all the time. And, you know, the classic one of that is we can all remember, well, some of us can, some of us are old enough, but we can remember those, you know, incredibly bulky mobile telephones. And they were just a telephone. That's all they actually did. But they were really expensive and kind of didn't do the job very well. And you think as to how quickly we progressed out of there to the computers that we carry around in our pockets now, and the performance and the cost level of the drop of that. And I think we need to kind of remember those things. I mean, I've got a surfboard, and I kind of always look at my surfboard. I try and have the most up-to-date surfboard in terms of materials and the sustainability, but also the performance of them. You know, we have, and the board I've got at the moment is like a recycled and sustainably sourced core. It's laminated in a resin. And if you went back, everybody'd say, no, I can't do that. They perform just as well. And they've reached that kind of cost neutrality point. So argue those cases through the manufacturers and make it very explicit as to why the people specifying should use your product.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I'd say, said at the start, it's only a few weeks now until the conference. For those attending, what's going to be the theme of your keynote?
Well, I think it's going to be very much resilience, hope, in the face of what can feel like, you know, very challenging times, and a bit of a rally call to say, you know, we're not going to step backwards. This is the agenda. And even though people might say, you know, we see a certain political party attacking net zero, well, we need to attack back. You know, net zero, anti-net zero is actually pro-mass migration. So we just need to change the dialogue, and we need to own that. We need to have the better story. So we're going to tell some better stories about creating that world where we all live in harmony with each other and with the planet that we're kind of privileged to live on.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I sort of think I wish this was a 45-minute chat, because I've got six or seven questions I'd love to ask, but we'll save those for the conference. Yes. And yeah, really looking forward to it. Great to catch up, Chris.
Yeah, so am I. Thanks very much. Looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone as well.
Cheers.